I'm on my way to make something big, and I started with nothing. Not little, not here and there, nothing. Absolutely clueless. I pretended to understand things that I knew deep down I don't know shit about. I chased hype. I did everything what others wanted to do, and I would assume that I'd learn later. Hey everyone, I'm Sanjeevni, you can call me San. I'm a 16-year-old high school commerce student from India, and I started a community. A community for us, my generation, to make us financially literate. Why choose that field? I'll tell you why. Because I didn't wake up one fine morning thinking, let's save my generation from debts today. How could I? I didn't even know what a debt meant. There must have been hundreds of turning points in the previous years of my life that led me to show up on your screen like that. Moments where someone might have mentioned an electricity bill, an expense, or money management. And it must have exhausted me because I didn't understand any of it. I did not know what they were talking about. And pretending did not help every time because it was getting tiring. One of the biggest turning points in my life that made me honestly realize the importance was the first solo trip that I had this year itself from Mumbai to Lucknow. I got to spend time with my grandparents at my native, chill, and just, get along. But damn, that trip taught me more than I thought it could have. I remember standing clueless in the middle of the airport, not knowing where to go next. I know, right? Normal stuff. Well, I ended up overspending like an idiot and then got scolded for not having booked a fare on that particular thing. I don't even remember what the thing was. But what I do clearly remember is me sitting there in the waiting hall with my luggage thinking, how the hell did I not know what that meant? And to be honest, how would I have known? Because I'd never done anything like this before. People say experience teaches you, and I do agree with that. But if you are in any way like me, then you must be knowing how painful it is to hear you should have known. And while I was in Lucknow enjoying my life, traveling, this realization kept hitting me. Right now, I have my parents backing this whole trip up, backing my whole life up. But there would come a time when they wouldn't. And some part of me said, I don't want to start from zero from that day on. I'd rather start from zero now, so that by then I'm actually at 10. And if I can have this realization, maybe people like me can do too. Why wait until you are old? Then there were also small unintentional incidents. Like I remember during an exam, my friend came up to me and told that, dude, this one shop has like 20 rupees per pen. But I did not know how to react to that. I just said, oh, okay, cool enough. They were like, how come you're not reacting enough? It's clearly overpriced. Well, I did not know what the normal price should have been. It's called market price, by the way, now that I know. How could I have known what overpricing meant? For them it was obvious, for me it wasn't. Just because it is obvious to one person doesn't make it automatically certain for the rest of the people, right? What happens to the kid who does not know all of these things? What happens when they're 18 in college, surrounded by people who know all of these things that they don't? And this is why the community exists. The second turning point was my book. Yes, I'm a published author. I published my first book at 15. This is my book. I saw something on Instagram, alright? It was an opportunity. It looked hard to miss, and I did not want to miss it. I didn't want to make another stupid decision. I paid for the opportunity. I held my book in my hand, and it made me feel seen. It felt like the tangible evidence of my thoughts, my emotions, my experiences, whatever you want to call it. And I didn't want to give that book for free, or anything less than how valuable it actually is. Not because I was money hungry, but because I knew that the emotions and experiences inside it deserved value. And if you think about it, money is the only way someone can value what they create. I used to think money is selfish myself. And I know that that's a very impromptu reaction the mind gets whenever you hear that someone is rich, someone is money-minded. But every time a sale of my book was made, I felt like I connected with someone new. And this is probably the situation with every creator out there, be it any kind of art. Music, drawing, writing. If you don't know how much of a worth it holds, you might never be able to get satisfied with what you made. And then came desperation. I wanted reach, right? I wanted promotion. And I made decisions, terrible decisions. And that decision delivered nothing. My money was lost. Well, my father's money was lost. And that loss hit me hard. It taught me that money does give value to art, but the only thing that gives value to money itself is the knowledge of it, is understanding its own worth. If I don't understand the worth of $1, how would I understand the worth of a 500, of a 5,000? And if I can't, how would I expect others to do the same? Then I saw things at my own house. I saw my father. He has worked his whole life trying to do what he had to, not what he would have loved, because he didn't know that other options even existed. Again, ignorance. He's into stock market, very much in fact, and he started doing it in his 40s. Not because he couldn't have done it before, but because he didn't know about it. It makes me want to make others realize that we can learn from people's mistakes. We can start earlier. In fact, it is because of him that we have everything we need and that we have the ability to buy everything we need. Earlier, I was grateful, and that's the problem. I was just grateful. Now that I understand money, I try to make sense out of the expenses that I make, because now I know the mental exhaustion that goes behind every time an expense is made. And I don't want that exhaustion to feel like a burden for people like us, for the people who still have time to make things right. And if well-earning families feel that strain, imagine the middle-income ones. The thing is, I can't change families. I cannot change adults. They have already lived their responsibilities, made their mistakes, and learned from it. But I can do something for our generation, for the both of us. When we grow up, when we enter college, and when we start working, we shouldn't have to start from zero. We shouldn't want some financial emergency to be knocking at our doors and look something very new to us. We should already be knowing how to handle them, not because we have been through them before, but because we have learned it somewhere. Maybe from a video, maybe my community. And as you can see, pretty much obvious by now, I have built this for kids like me. Because every single one of us has ambition, work ethic, goals and dreams. But nobody sees that. And what nobody sees, nobody solves. Yes, this community is finance focused. Yes, this is about financial literacy. But the reason I started with finance is simple. It is the only phase I have lived, and the phase that I can understand and make you realize the reason behind it. And if all of us can sort one phase out, we sure can do the rest. Everybody says that the hardest part is to start. But for me, the hardest part is to move from 0 to 1. When you hit 1, you understand the pattern. And that is why my community exists, so that none of us has to go through 0 alone.